This leg, you see, it's like a prosthesis. It's covered. I have no flesh here and no... As soon as I was anesthetized, I felt terrible pains in my body, cramping me and cramping me and cramping me, and I am screaming and I cannot do anything, no one hears me. At that moment, I feel a release from the body. I'm leaving my body, I'm in the operating room, and then two figures are standing next to me, scary, full of eyes, one on the right side and one on the left side, and I'm forced to go with them. And I leave the operating room and we enter into a tunnel. And I walk with them for a long time inside the tunnel. Absolute darkness. We walk a lot, we walk quite a lot, and then I eventually arrive at a place that is all brightly lit. I step out into a brightly lit place, and then I see a beautiful place before me, full of love, full of light. The figures stayed behind me. They didn't enter this place. I see two large decorated gates, decorated gold gates, and behind the gates, of course, they did not let me enter this magnificent place. What I see are women elegantly and beautifully dressed, righteous men dressed and radiant, a place full of love. And then all of a sudden a voice begins to speak to me out of nowhere. A special voice, a truly loving voice, a warm and embracing voice, and it gently says to me, Mazal, repent, believe in the religion. At that moment, I roll back into my body to the operating room. I wake up in the recovery room and I'm afraid to tell what happened to me, what I went through. In the operating room, they obviously said, here she is, she's here. Hello, my name is Mazal. I'm 64 years old, married, a mother of children, grandchildren, thank God. I live in Tel Aviv, in Yad Eliyahu. I didn't know the creator of the world. I lived in a completely secular home where we had no Shabbat, no holidays, no kosher food. I was constantly preoccupied with myself, with my clothing, and with the lack of modesty I had. I was athletic, a long-distance runner, and I played soccer. At the age of 16, I changed my name to Mali. My name is Mazal, and I didn't realize how much luck I would have later in life. I didn't connect with the name Mazal. At 17 and a half, I married a husband who was a yeshiva student, and in the first year, I already made sure he ate on Yom Kippur, something he had never done in his life. There was no Shabbat in the house, no holidays, and no keeping kosher. At 18 and a half, I had already given birth to my eldest son. May God bring him back to the faith. And after a few months, I became pregnant again and had an abortion because it wasn't the right time. I worked at an insurance agency, and I was the head secretary. I had employees, and I would come to the office dressed immodestly. And there were plenty of men who would come there complimenting me on how I looked. And of course, I felt like I was the queen of the world. At some point, my boss got me executive insurance, which included a 100% disability clause. At the age of 22, I went with my husband to a wedding in Be'er Sheva. I left my son with my mother, and I was supposed to come pick him up in the morning for preschool. I arrived at the wedding wearing, of course, a mini skirt, high-heeled boots, and an expensive leather coat. On the way back from the wedding, we reached the Kiryat Malahi junction. I saw two lights approaching me at high speed. I reached out my hands to stop them, and then I was gone. I lost consciousness. And what turned out was that a military truck swerved into our lane and crushed the car. We had a double cabin car. The double cabin has a straight interior. So all the metal crushed into me, into my legs, my arms. It broke, it shattered me. I was covered in fractures, and my husband's luck, the creator of the world, performed a miracle. The moment it hit him, my husband was thrown upward, so he wasn't trapped in the car. I was trapped in the car. By the grace of God, it was a mercy that the Creator showed us. After the place was dark, absolute darkness, a bus arrived with guests who had been at the wedding. They got off and helped us, and the bus lit up the place. There were no phones, so they ran to a nearby village to call for help. Ambulances and police arrived, and there was no choice. They had to rescue me because I was in critical condition. I'd lost a lot of blood. And the moment they rescued me and pulled me from the car, they obviously tore the flesh from my legs. I arrived at Kaplan Hospital in Rehovot in critical condition, and they immediately took me into the operating room. I was unconscious, but for a few seconds I suddenly woke up and felt them cutting the clothes off me before the surgery. I was in the operating room for 12 hours. The next day, my mother is waiting for me to come pick up my son for preschool. Of course, I don't show up. No one knew what had happened to us. And only at noon did it become clear from family who were with us at the wedding. It became clear that we had left for home. And then they searched through the police and hospitals and reached Kaplan. And at Kaplan, they told them that a couple arrived last night. The woman in critical condition after a car accident, and the woman in critical condition. My family arrived. I was in intensive care, sedated, on a ventilator. The doctor came out and told my family that they'd done everything, and what remains is all in the hands of the Creator. After 4 days, I woke up, and then I understood exactly what had happened to me. And the suffering didn't end because I had to undergo surgeries. Every week they took me into the operating room to save my legs. And the left leg, they didn't know whether to amputate it or not to amputate it, and they tried to save it. Every surgery I was sedated, and after the surgery I would wake up, pain, suffering, even the painkillers didn't help anymore. In one of the surgeries, which was the critical surgery, whether to amputate the leg or not to amputate the leg because they were grafting skin and connecting, I was afraid to tell what happened to me because I thought they'd say it's not enough that I'm injured in the legs, surely I'm also injured in the head. After 4 months from Kaplan, I arrived at Bet Levinstein. I'm confined to a wheelchair with terrible suffering, not functioning. And there I began undergoing very difficult physiotherapy. They would lift me with a crane into the pool so that I could move my legs. And at some point on a leave from Bet Levinstein, when I returned home, I became pregnant. For 9 months I was in a wheelchair, and I gave birth, thank God, to a healthy girl. After I gave birth, I had a nervous breakdown. I didn't accept my disability, and I tried to commit suicide several times, and I ended up hospitalized in Ababanel. At some point, we moved to live in an area with a ground floor, so it would be easy for me to enter with the wheelchair. And this place was a religious area. One of the neighbors took me to Rabbi Bentov of blessed memory in Jerusalem. He reads mezuzahs, and he told me, he read the mezuzahs. I didn't know him. It was the first time I went to a rabbi. I arrived, the rabbi looks at the mezuzah, and he told me, the soul that you murdered is interfering with you in this world. And then I understood that it was an abortion I had. After some time, I was pregnant again. In the 6th month, the fetus didn't develop, and I had a stillbirth. This friend took me to Rebbetzin Kanievsky of blessed memory, and she told me, in what you have spoiled, you must repair, measure for measure. And thank God I started volunteering in an organization of Women for Life to save babies from abortion, women who wouldn't have an abortion. And thank God I went to Rabbi Ovadia Yosef of blessed memory for the bris of a baby we were able to save. And I was also present in the delivery room with a mother who specifically asked me to be there with her, and whom I also helped to save her precious baby girl. It was truly a moving and unforgettable experience for me, and I am grateful to have been able to help in those moments. I'm all platinum plates, I'm all crushed. To this day, I'm all broken pieces. This leg, you see, it's like a prosthesis. It's covered. I have no flesh here, and I have the beautiful legs that I invested so much in. That's what the doctor told me. Your luck is that you didn't get it in the face. The hands were crushed, all of me was crushed. I went through terrible difficulties. I was confined to a wheelchair and then with crutches and in a Abarbanel, and I tried to commit suicide. No, I didn't want to accept my situation. The legs didn't break in one fracture, they broke into several parts. And this leg is a leg that the foot was on the other side. I arrived with it at the hospital while it was in the air. That's why they tried to save it. And they succeeded, but to this day it's scary how it looks. And I say, thank God that I also got married at age 17. I didn't understand. Creator of the world. I got married, not for religious reasons. I say to myself, who would have taken me in the state I was in? The Creator was so merciful to me. I didn't understand. I didn't know how much the Creator He is. I paid a price, especially with my legs, because back then I always wore short clothes. I didn't know how to dress modestly. No, I didn't know. My legs were always exposed, and that's where I paid the price. And there was a point where there wasn't enough bone, so they took a bone graft from my hip to fix my leg. And my left leg, I have carbon fiber ligaments, which were also torn, and the flesh, especially from my left leg, was left behind in the car. So I had to have skin grafts and rehab. My left foot is different from my right foot because it was completely crushed. During the accident, my foot was twisted all the way around. The one who really brought me back to faith was the daughter I gave birth to. The one I gave birth to, even though they told me to terminate the pregnancy. Today, she inspires so many people, living in Kiryat Sefer with her 7 children. She's very devoutly religious, and she's married to a Torah scholar. At some point, a friend of mine took me to a Torah class. So I go to this Torah class. There was a religious woman there, sharing her own personal story. She said that she was religious until she was 16, but then she strayed from that path. She also had an abortion at one point and got married, but the Creator never gave up on her. She suffered a stroke, and while she was having the stroke, she also experienced clinical death. And then she went through the same thing I did, the struggle of the soul leaving the body, the pain, and she went up to heaven, to the heavenly court. And waiting for her there were these terrifying figures, just waiting for her to enter the room. There were so many figures covered in eyes, the same ones I saw, and they were just waiting for her to step into that room. But the one who saved her and spoke up for her was Rabbi Israel Abu Hatzera. The Baba Sali was there, and she promised that she would return to this world and share her personal story. When the class ended, I just sat there and cried, because then I understood exactly what had happened to me. I realized how merciful the Almighty had been to me, giving me my life back as a gift. And that's how I eventually found my way back to faith. I didn't understand what happened to me until I heard her story in that class. So of course I returned to my faith, and I'm so grateful to the Creator. My doctor told me back then that if I were a car, they would have just written me off as a total loss. But the Creator didn't give up on me, and He doesn't give up on anyone. He loves us and He loves me. And I realized how lucky I've been all along the way, and I thank the Creator for where I am today. I connected to the truth. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I was close with Rebetsin Kanievsky, and I would visit her for her hugs and her kisses. My daughter, bless her, she didn't want to study in a secular school. On her own, it's not that we lived in a religious area, and only we were driving. But my daughter wouldn't agree. She wanted an all-girls school. And thank God that's how it was. And when I enrolled her, I started to see everything differently. And that's how I began my journey back to faith. And that's how I grew stronger, and the whole household grew stronger too. And thank God my other children, thank God I have 3 ultra-Orthodox children. Married with children in Torah schools, there is none besides him. I'm grateful to him, grateful he gave me the chance to make amends, return to life and truly live.